Today, I am shifting over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As we all know, Marvel has produced many TV shows throughout the years. Not all of them have been good. We're going to break that down today. Okay, so I have 3 tiers. We have poetic cinema for the shows where certain moments have brought me to tears, like shows that I've cried watching, and shows that are just, the storyline is fucking perfect, and the acting is phenomenal, and everything about it is just so beautiful and so amazing and good. And then these, great TV show, this is the second one. These are still shows that are incredible. They are good TV shows. Like, they are good shows that were adapted from comic books or adapted from other movies. They're just good TV shows. They are not quite at the level of poetic cinema, but they're still good. And then there's corny, which are just bad ones. So we're starting off strong with Agent Carter. Agent Carter is a, I believe, 2 seasons show produced by Marvel that follows the story of Peggy Carter, the agent from Captain America, the First Avenger. And so it follows her as she starts S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Or as she, helps start S.H.I.E.L.D. And I really liked it, but, God, it was so good, actually. It was so good. They have there's this one character, Dottie Underwood, and she's a, spy for the Red Room, which, if you don't know, the Red Room is the place that Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, was trained and raised, and it's a super fucked up, messed up place where they, kidnap little girls and turn them into spies and assassins, basically. And it is so brutal, and it is one of my favorite concepts in the entire Marvel comic universe, because I don't know, Natasha Romanoff is, my favorite, and I think it is so fascinating, and people really don't utilize it enough, or if they do, they don't portray it correctly, and I love the way Agent Carter portrayed it. So I think that should put it in poetic cinema. However, I kept getting bored. I was only excited when Peggy was, fighting people, or when it was her and Dottie. Whenever there was anybody else on the screen, I just got bored. And so it's a really good show, but I think if it was made today when there's more of a good focus on female-led shows nowadays, especially in superhero universes, I think if it were made today, it could have been so much better. But product of her time, we thank you for your service, Agent Carter. Up next, we have Iron Fist. Now, people have a lot of opinions on this show. Most people don't like it. However, true to my channel name, I am a Iron Fist defender. It is so good. You people are just boring and haters, and you hate joy and whimsy and magic and whatever. It's a fucking comic book. Obviously, it's not going to be super realistic. And I think the story was really good, actually. And I think Danny Rand is, I don't know. I think, just as the kids say, justified crash out. This fucking kid, his parents, not just his parents, his plane goes down in the middle of fucking the Himalayas or something, and then he's taken in by this weird karate ninja cult thing, and he's raised there for years, and he's treated as an outsider, and he has to fight to prove himself the whole time, and then he does, and then he has to leave, and then he goes back and nobody believes him that he's who he is, and he has no idea how anything works, and everybody's getting mad at him, and he's trying to be why can't we just help people for cheap? I I respect the hell out of that. Like, why can't we just make it free, like, as cheap as possible? And then everyone's like, well, you don't understand how this works. And I'm like, you don't understand how that fucking world works. And I love him. And I think this show, it was not poetic cinema, but my God, it was good. We'll watch it again. Also, Colleen Wing. I love you. I love her. She was so cool. She had, like, swords and shit. Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. She could have been... It could have been so good. They didn't know what they had with her. She had so much potential. But that's, like, the shitty modern MCU stuff. There's, like, a notable difference between Marvel Cinematic Universe and, like, the Netflix Marvel shows. And then, even then, there's... You know, maybe Agent Carter wouldn't have been good if it was written today, because this is how they're writing female-led shows. Okay. This is the first Marvel TV show I ever watched, and also, like, my celebrity crush, and I just think this is the one show that I always recommend to everybody who is, like, anybody who's like, what show should I watch? Like, oh, I want to watch a superhero show, where do I get started? Jessica Jones. Kristen Ritter, you will always be famous. I personally believe Jessica Jones is, like, one of the best things Marvel has ever created. Like, the concept of the character. She is, oh my God, that's girl failure representation. She's a fucking mess. You open it and she's, like, asleep in her jeans and her phone was unplugged and she breaks her alarm clock. And I saw that and I was like, God, she's so real. Like, I get her. I love her. And I do. I love her so much. I think that story is so good and it is such an important story to be told. Like, I cried watching season 1 of Jessica Jones. I cried at the end when she snaps her rapist's neck. It's, like, on, like, in front of so many people. The man who violated her, not just her body, her mind, her free will, for, like, a year, I think, and violated the minds of, and probably bodies of so many other people, and he was such a fucking creep. And I hate how people like, oh, I like Kilgrave just because he's played by David Tennant. No, Eric Kilgrave is a monster. And, or Zephaniah, whatever the fuck his first name is. I am so glad that she killed him. And I think that was, God. In the way that, not even just season 1, which was so good, where, like, the story was, it was so enticing, and her, like, all of her private investigator gigs kind of, like, tying into the main story, too. And then there was that whole, like, support group thing, and then her fucking sister, or adopted sister, whatever. And that's just season 1, which is, like, follows the story, and it's about abuse survivors and domestic violence survivors and them trying to, like, reclaim their lives when the man or person who hurt them is still able to have so much power over other people. And she won. She won. And I'm really proud of her. And I think it's such a good show. And also it's just beautiful. Like, the cinematography, very, like, gritty, PI, private investigator, like, film noir kind of vibes. It's just, if you're gonna watch any Marvel TV show, I would say Jessica Jones. Because, oh my God. Yeah, could not recommend enough. I can't even articulate my thoughts. Up next, Hawkeye. I hate what the MCU did to Clint Barton. That man does not have a family. He has his fucking dog in his shitty Brooklyn apartment. I think the they could have done such a better job with Clint Barton, but they didn't. They did whatever the fuck they did. And I think this is pretty good, all things considered. I loved how they portrayed Kate Bishop. I think that was very good. I liked Yelena being there. I don't know. I really enjoyed watching it. But it could have been so much better. I'm kind of torn on where to put it, I'm not gonna lie. I think it was really good, but the issues were not with the show, it was how the movies established the character. So, all things considered, it's a very good TV show. I'm getting season 2 though, and I'm really excited for that. I like Kate Bishop, she's cool. Alright, I don't know if you can read the sweatshirt. Do not fear the dark, become it. Daredevil? Oh my god. I fucking love Daredevil. I've seen this show probably like a million times. I rewatch it all the time. Literally, like, I've seen season 1 probably 17 times. Sorry, it's so fucking good. Matthew Murdock. Now, I love Daredevil. I love the comics. This is probably the best TV show adaptation of comic books. Now, before I even get into the storyline, I want to hear for Charlie Cox. He was phenomenal in this role. Like, actually fucking phenomenal. The way, oh my god, the, like, sadness and how he cried and he was not afraid to, like, this show, the Nelson vs. Murdoch episode, I can't even get through. It's so good. I get so, like, uncomfortable because I'm like, God, you guys are best friends and you're fighting over this and it's such an important thing and you just, neither of you are understanding, neither of you can understand the other, and it hurts and it's tearing them apart, and it is so fucking good. And the way Charlie Cox played, he got, like, some sort of thing, like, I don't know what the fuck it was, if it was an award or whatever, from, like, the American Foundation for the Blind for his portrayal of Matt Murdock. He did so good at that. I, like, was watching some, like, random video thing of Charlie Cox, and I was like, he can see, what the fuck? He did so good with that whole part of the role, which can be very challenging, and I think he portrayed it wonderfully. And Karen Page, I love you, Foggy Nelson. I love you. The fucking priest. Oh my god, Father Lanton, I think of you all the time. Okay, season 1, incredible. The villain. Wilson Fisk is probably one of the scariest Marvel villains, because Wilson Fisk and Kilgrave are the 2 scariest Marvel villains ever, hands down. Like, I'm sorry. They're horrifying. Wilson Fisk, because especially in this show, he's shown as such a good guy. Like, if I did not know what I did from watching the show, and I just, like, saw him on the news one day, I would think, well, I would probably be a little suspicious, but if I wasn't myself, I was some random civilian, I would think, this sounds like a pretty good guy. Like, this man would never cut off somebody's head with a car door because they interrupted my dinner date. A fucking insane way to kill someone, by the way. You take the Russian mob boss that you're working with, and you slam his head in the car door until it falls off. Wow. And then you send your fucking assistant to give his brother the body? Okay. God, Wesley. Oh my god, Wesley. They humanized the villains. That's the thing that they did, is they humanized them, and they did such a good job of that. And so many shows struggle with humanizing villains, and Daredevil did so good at that. And they humanized the fucking vigilante. They humanized the superheroes too. They gave them these bitches are fucked up. You think Matt Murdock is stable? You think Daredevil is stable? It's like a consistent theme where people are like, you need help, Matt. You can't just keep running around beating people up at the middle of the night in your red leather suit. Oh. In season 2, Frank Castle. I love Frank Castle. I'm a Frank Castle defender all the way too. Sorry. But there's this one shot in season 2 that I talked about with my teacher where it's in the courtroom and it's Frank and he's in his like prison jumpsuit and he's standing and the American flag is like blurred behind him, and I think that's one of the most beautiful shots. Daredevil has some gorgeous shots. Season 2 I loved because I love Frank Castle and I thought the way they did that was lovely. And also Elektra, it's so hard to portray Elektra very good and they did it perfectly. I absolutely believe that woman just kills people for fun. And Matt and Elektra and their whole thing was so good. And I did cry when she died. And then season 3 too, where it takes place in like a church. Now I was raised Catholic, so that's my favorite season solely for aesthetic purposes, and also because Matt, like, he's hiding from everyone. Fucking self-destruction king. He is not taking anybody's help. He's mad at everyone. He thinks he's like the worst. He wants to like, he just got blown up kind of. Everybody should watch Daredevil. At least the first 2 episodes of Daredevil, everyone should have to watch. Everyone that wants to get into like the MCU should have to watch Daredevil. I could talk about that for a whole other hour, but I have like several more shows to get through, so. Alright. They could have done so good, but they didn't. The only good part about that shit was Matt Murdock, and even that they kind of messed up. I'm sorry, Jennifer Walters, you deserved better than that. Okay, now we have I loved WandaVision. Oh my god, I watched it all in a day. It was so good. It was fascinating. The story was incredible. All of the like moments where you could see like the illusion breaking, right? Where like somebody would snap out of character or say something, or you would see something that was just a little off, and then it would get so like weird and kind of really uncomfortable. Like the music, the laugh track would stop, everything would stop, and it was just Wanda and she looked confused, and then it would all just erase. It would go back. Oh my god. That story was, it seems like I was watching it, and I was like, how the hell did they come up with that? Like, that is so good, and that's such a perfect way to tell the story. And the story with Wanda's backstory and everything, I did shed a tear. Yeah, I shed a couple of tears, actually. And all the aesthetics of it were so beautiful, too. Where it, like, switched every episode from 50s to 60s to 70s to 80s, 90s to the 2000s, like, Modern Family-esque thing. And that was a fucking phenomenal, like, stylistic choice and storytelling mode. Elizabeth Olsen acted her ass off, and Catherine Hahn was the fucking nosy-ass neighbor, and oh my god. WandaVision is another one of those shows that I think everyone that, like, likes superhero movies should watch, because it was so good, and it was heartbreaking. It's a story about grief. It's a story about love. What is grief if not love preserving? That's such a good line to give to a fucking robot. Okay. I think that's such a beautiful story, and it was told so well. Props to them. Like I said in the Daredevil segment, I am a Frank Castle defender. Not just because I think John Barenthal is hot, but he is. Especially when he has, like, the long hair and the beard. It's episode 1 of The Punisher, and he's just, like, beating those guys to death with the fucking sledgehammer and tossing them into the concrete, and hell broke loose is playing. That's one of the best fight scenes in Marvel history, I would say. Oh god. I love him. I think that man is so tragic and haunted, and the way they portrayed it, like, it's a story about PTSD, and not just through Frank's perspective. There was the whole other fucking kid. God, I forgot what his name was. I was just watching a show the other day, and I forgot his name. But the other kid, Lewis, who, like, him and Frank, they're dealing with the same shit. They're both killing people with it. I was gonna say they're doing different things, but Frank is a domestic terrorist. Technically, yeah, he has killed people in Mexico. Okay. Whatever. They're both... It's a story about war and its consequences. War is fucking hell, okay? And it's not... I think a lot of the issue with Marvel movies is glorification of war and, like, not borderline, just straight up military propaganda. I think The Punisher, in my humble opinion, is the one that does not do that. He's like, this is fucked up. Like, you don't want to do that. I was doing illegal shit. We were killing innocent people and then digging the bullets out of their skulls, and it was awful and it was screwed up, and they all tried to cover it up. They murdered my family to cover it up. They murdered my family to cover up their illegal operation. And I think that was a very bold move to go on with this storyline. They didn't so much do the government storyline in season 2. I love season 2 though, because I loved the Preacher and the Amy and everything. It was so good. But season 1, also Dina Madani. I think it was such a beautiful portrayal of how the government fucks everybody over. And oh god. I don't know, I'm having such a hard time articulating my thoughts because I have so many and I can't get them out into words. Also, beautiful shots. He looks so good covered in blood. And when he's, like, not to condone murder, but I'm going to for a minute here, when he, like, calls all the people in to the thing and then he just murders all of them, it's like 15v1, and then he cuts that guy's head off and then just rolls it out and is like, I'm here, and then just starts killing other bitches. I get so excited. Also, Karen Page is in it, and I love Karen Page. And I thought that Lieberman was very fun. Very fun. I loved them, like, hanging out in the basement and being bros, and oh god. Okay. People should watch The Punisher, too. I don't know. Is any of this making any sense? It's not even making sense to me. I hope I'm not talking for too long. I've decided it doesn't have to make sense because nobody has to watch this except for my teacher. Okay, we have The Defenders. The Defenders is... I should have probably done Luke Cage before I did The Defenders. He's over there. We'll get to him also. Don't you worry. The Defenders, it's these two, this one, and Luke Cage as well, all coming together to fight fucking evil immortal ninja cult, and I thought it was so good. I loved this show. I thought it was so fun, and I loved getting to watch them interact. Like, each one of them had such a, like, weird relationship, and none of them really liked each other. Luke and Danny did like each other towards the end, and so did, I think, Matt and Jess, but and Jess don't look like each other. But the rest, it was like, everyone was like, Matt, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what's your deal? Take this scarf off. Why do you have that whole costume? They're beating up people in an elevator. Not an elevator. Yeah, an elevator. They were beating up people in the hallway. Danny's little, I wore a tie! They go to that Chinese restaurant, and Danny Rand, I love you. He's like, I just gave him my black card, agreed to pay rent for the next 6 months. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? What is going on here? Matt's the only one. Danny knows what's going on too, but he's not good at articulating it. Neither is Matt. Neither am I. I thought it was so fun. Oh my god. And the lecture comes back and she doesn't know anything, and then Matt fucking dies. People should watch The Defenders, but only after they watch all the other ones, right? Because then it'll make more sense. Yeah. Watch Daredevil, Jessica Jones seasons 1 and 2, Daredevil season 1 and 2, Iron Fist season 1, and Luke Cage season 1, and then Defenders. Luke Cage. God, fuck. This one was so good. Oh. Luke Cage is a really important story. I thought it was portrayed beautifully, and he is such a talented actor. And Claire Temple had a very big role, and I love Claire Temple, so I was super down with that. But I think it's such, like, it is an important story. It's a story, it's about racism and the institutionalized racism and its consequences, and it's about drug trafficking and weapons trafficking. Holy fuck, it's about weapons trafficking and how it disproportionately affects marginalized communities. And I think it was really cool that, not cool, but good that they used Hammer Tech as, like, the big bad guys thing, right? Because in, like, all the Iron Man movies, and I hate Tony Stark, so this might have something to do with it, but he was always like, oh, Hammer Tech, it's so shit, like, nothing bad will ever come from Hammer Tech, and yada yada yada, they're so irrelevant and unimportant. Then Hammer Tech is killing people, like, a bunch, just in the streets of Harlem, and nobody but Luke Cage seems to be giving a shit. And even, I personally, like, I think it's a man who really doesn't want to be, like, he does not, oh my god, he does not want to be a vigilante. He does not want any part in this shit. But his community and his people, and, like, he's from Georgia, right? And then he went to prison. That's another thing about the fucking prison system and, like, unethical experimentation and how badly prisoners are treated. And he went, and then he got out and found, like, a new home and a new community, and then they were being hurt, and so he stepped up, used what he was given through awful means for good to help. Really good, really powerful, and I also did cry watching that one. Also, the aesthetics are beautiful, and because Harlem, it was gorgeous. The music was incredible. I loved, like, all the jazz that was going on, especially at the club, the jazz club, and, like, the lighting was so good. Like, oh my god. It was so well lit, actually. That's a big problem with a lot of TV shows nowadays, and a lot of Marvel TV shows. Not so much, these shows are all pretty well lit, actually. That's a big thing for me, but the, like, color grading and everything in Luke Cage, it was just beautiful. Even if, like, whatever, oh, he's boring, shut the fuck up, stop, but it's just a gorgeous show to watch. And also, it's super important, everybody should watch it. Shout out to Luke Cage. Alright. Captain America and the Winter Soldier, I fucking loved it. I thought it was really, really good, and I think it should have been longer. That is my main complaint. I think 6 episodes, it was not enough, and I think there's so many things they should have went deeper into, and they didn't. And there's things that they did, like, I don't like how they made Carly out to be, like, a good guy in the end, because she was a terrorist. Like, yeah, she had a point, kinda. She was a terrorist, though, and ran a terrorist organization. I think it was really good, though. And everything that they did with Sam and, like, him stepping into the role of Captain America as a black man in America, and how everyone's treating him, and, like, him donating like, giving up the shield to a museum or whatever, because he didn't think he could carry on legacy, he didn't think he was fit for it, and then they turn right back around and give it to some random, literally just some fucking guy, just because, like, what, he was white and had a good fancy military background. Okay, Sam also has a fancy military background. He's an Avenger, and also Steve Rogers specifically chose him, but whatever. I thought Bucky bullying John Walker was really funny. It was such a good show, actually, and I have rewatched it multiple times, and I think it was a great TV show. Like, that's what it was. It was a solid TV show, and really good, and a lot of really important messages, and fuck, Bucky Barnes is so tragic. God. Okay. Last but not fucking least, Agatha All Along. Can we see that? So, Agatha All Along, I watched this all in one day on Christmas, Halloween, because I was sick, and I cried. I'm not saying I cried, I'm saying I sobbed. It's everything you could ever want in a TV show. It is Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza doomed Yuri. Sorry. But it was so good. Oh my god. I love these fucking dramatic ass witches. Not even dramatic ass bitches, yeah, but witches. And they were so fun. It was about sisterhood. It was about sisterhood. Lilia, Patti LuPone. Let's hear it for fucking Patti LuPone. Oh my god, that episode where Lilia's episode is probably one of the best. Like, that's the greatest character. The way they did that was so perfect, and you could see it in the other episodes too, where they had the moments that were just kind of brushed off, and then it all came together in the episode, and Agatha and Rio. My face is probably looking so weird right now. I don't want to go back and watch this. Agatha and Rio. Oh my god. I think they should have let them have a happy ending. They did, in my mind. God, Agatha, she's a woman who lost her son, and then everybody thought she killed him, and she didn't. And then she hated, like, she wanted so badly to hate the woman that she loved, who's probably also her son's mother, but that's a whole other thing. And she couldn't, because she loved her, and they fuck. And then, and I think that the whole concept of it all just being made up is incredible. And Agatha, that fucking improv queen, she was yes-anding her way down that road. Like, the second that door opened, she's like, huh, hey, something fucking weird's going on here. And there was several weird things going on there, but that was actually fucking hilarious. Like, her just making shit up as she goes, and then it appearing, and she's like, haha, I was right, I've told you I've done this before. I think she's a diva. She's a hustler and a fucking scam artist, and I really respect her. and I respect her grind, and I like that she was trying to bury her fucking son who had just died, and hold on, I'll get back to that point in a minute. Nikki dying, I sobbed. I was sobbing. Where Rio is, she's not dressed as death, she's in her dress, she has the torch, and she's smiling, and she tells him, like, no, go give your mom a kiss, and then he runs over to her, and he's so happy because he knows her, because that's his mother, and he holds her hand, and they walk off together peacefully. And okay, that was beautiful. Anyways, back to the point. Fuck, what point was I making? Oh yeah, where Agatha's burying her son, and then some fucking asshole is like, hey, you know how to get to the Witch's Road? And she's like, what are you fucking talking about? Because the Witch's Road is made up, and it's a song that her and her son made up, and she knows that, but this chick doesn't know that, and she's like, huh, okay, how's about we get a little group together, we get a coven, and then we'll go on the road. And she's just over here antagonizing the fuck out of these girls. And she's like, guess you guys are just insignificant little witches, like frauds, fraud. And then they all immediately go to attack her. Like, she calls you a little bitch and a fraud, and you try and kill her. Holy fuck, maybe you did deserve to have your powers taken away. That whole montage was so good. I think this is Marvel's like lowest budget project, and also their best. Yeah, I'm eagerly awaiting a season 2. I need Ghost Agatha and Rio to be happy together forever. Also, Jen. Oh my god. I love Sashir Zamata. Her on SNL, I loved her. She is so talented, and I did cry when she got her powers back. And she was like, you have no power over me. And I was like, holy fuck, you're right, she doesn't. She doesn't have any power over... And then she got up and she flew, and because Jen didn't know that it was all fake, so she's just gonna go off, live her life, thinking, holy fuck, I walked the Witch's Road, I did it. And good for her. Good for her. Let her live with that. Let her live with that joy. And, oh god. And Lilia. Oh fuck, don't even get me started on Lilia. That's a whole other video essay. Just know that I cried, not even just to the show, I've cried to edits of Lilia. Patti LuPone. That's a diva. Alright. I thought along. That is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. Alright, so this is my tier list. In poetic cinema, we have Jessica Jones, Daredevil, WandaVision, The Punisher, Luke Cage, and Agatha All Along. Great TV show, we have Agent Carter, Iron Fist, Hawkeye, The Defenders, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Corny, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. These are just my opinions. Don't hate. Hope you enjoyed. TTYL.